The ancient oak woods whispered secrets only the crows understood. High in the gnarled branches perched the flock of the Morrigan, the great Celtic goddess of fate and battle. Among the sleek, raucous birds, flitting and cawing tales of skirmishes and shifting shadows, sat a crow named Bran. Unlike his brethren, whose sharp calls sliced through the misty air, Bran remained utterly silent. He watched the world with eyes like dark polished stones, absorbing the rustle of leaves, the gurgle of hidden streams, and the distant cries of foxes. But his own beak stayed firmly shut. The others chattered and boasted, ruffling their feathers in displays of noise. Yet Bran simply tilted his head, listening to a deeper, quieter rhythm humming beneath the forest's skin. His silence wasn't defiance. It felt like a natural state, as intrinsic as his midnight feathers. The Morrigan herself, a formidable presence often taking the form of a great crow or a warrior queen, observed her unusual follower. She saw how Bran would meticulously gather the softest moss for fledglings' nests while others squabbled over shiny trinkets. She noted how he'd patiently guide a lost beetle back to safety with gentle nudges of his beak, never uttering a sound. His silence puzzled the goddess, for crows were heralds, messengers of portents and change. Was he broken? Was he afraid? Yet, there was a profound calmness about him, a stillness that radiated a different kind of strength. He communicated through actions, a language of quiet care understood by the badger settling into its set, the owl blinking awake at dusk, and even the ancient stones standing sentinel in the clearing one crisp autumn afternoon. A tremor of distress rippled through the forest. A young deer, tangled in cruel, discarded thorns near the riverbank, thrashed in silent agony, its eyes wide with terror. The noisy crows gathered above, their cries sharp with alarm but tinged with helplessness. They swooped and scolded, yet the thorns held fast, and the deer's struggles grew weaker. Bran watched from his perch, his heart a drumbeat against his ribs. Without a sound, he dropped from the branch, landing lightly near the trembling creature. His dark eyes met the deer's, holding a message of calm. Slowly, deliberately, ignoring the pricking thorns, Bran began to work. He used his strong beak not to tear, but to carefully, painstakingly, unwind the vicious tendrils, one stubborn loop at a time. The other crows fell silent. Mesmerized, they watched as the small, silent crow worked with impossible patience and precision. Time seemed to stretch. Sunlight dappled through the golden leaves, catching the sheen of sweat, or was it dew, beating near Bran's eyes as he strained against a particularly tough knot. He paused only to nuzzle the deer's neck gently, a silent reassurance. Slowly the thorns relinquished their grip. The deer, trembling, staggered to its feet, nuzzled Bran's feathers once in profound gratitude, and bounded away into the safety of the deeper woods. Bran sat quietly by the discarded thorns, catching his breath, his task done without a single uttered word. The respect in the watching crow's eyes was palpable, a silent tribute louder than any caw. Weeks later, a deeper shadow fell over the woods. A human child, no older than 7, wandered far from the village path, lured by the flash of a rare blue butterfly. As dusk painted the sky in hues of violet and charcoal, the woods transformed. Familiar trees became looming giants, friendly rustles turned into menacing whispers. The child, Alara, huddled against the cold bulk of a moss-covered standing stone, tears carving clean tracks down her dusty cheeks, utterly lost and terrified. High above, Bran sensed the unique flavor of this fear. Small, human, and sharp. He found her, a tiny, shivering figure swallowed by the vast, darkening forest. Her soft whimpers were the only sound in the gathering gloom. Bran landed silently on a low branch nearby. He cocked his head, studying her. He remembered the deer's terror, the helplessness. He saw the deepening shadows where real dangers might lurk. A hungry fox, the treacherous ground near the ravine. The other crows might caw, might even lead the humans if they heard, but they were far off now, settling for the night. He was here. A fierce, protective urge surged within him, hotter and stronger than anything he'd ever felt. This small life needed more than quiet comfort. It needed a beacon, a call to bring help. Swiftly he looked at Alara's tear-streaked face, Then up at the first twinkling stars visible through the canopy, the silence that had always been his home suddenly felt like a wall. He took a deep, shuddering breath that felt alien in his chest. The forest seemed to hold its breath from deep within Bran. A sound emerged. It started as a rasp, a scrape against the quiet, painful and unfamiliar. Then it grew, a loud, resonant, powerful caws. It shattered the twilight stillness, echoing off the trees and stones. A clarion call of pure urgency. It was the voice he'd never used. Raw and startlingly strong, he called again. Caws. Calm. Pouring all his fear for the child, all his determination, into the sound. Alara startled, looking up at the large crow whose call sounded different, almost desperate, from the distant village. Answering shouts rose. Torchlight flickered between the trees. Bran kept calling, his voice now a rhythmic beacon, guiding the rescuers unerringly through the dark maze of trunks until flickering torchlight finally illuminated the small clearing and Alara's tearful relief. Later, under the watchful gaze of the moon, the Morrigan appeared beside Bran on his familiar branch. She wasn't in her warrior form, but as a majestic crow, her feathers holding the light of the stars. Little Bran. Her voice resonated softly in his mind, a warm breeze rather than a storm. Your silence was never emptiness, it was a deep well of seeing, of feeling. But tonight, you discovered the true power of a voice. She gently preened a feather near his head. It is not for noise, nor for boasting on the wind. It is a tool, Bran, a gift to be used wisely, fiercely, when the heart demands it, to protect, to call for aid, to speak the truth that needs hearing. Bran looked at the goddess, then towards the distant village lights where Alara was safe. He didn't need to speak again. He understood his silence was still a part of him, a peaceful harbor. But now, he carried a new knowledge. Within him lay a voice, not for the chatter of the world, but for the profound cries of the heart. Ready for the moments that truly mattered, he tucked his beak under his wing, the quiet forest humming its lullaby around him, a silent guardian who had found his true song.